Hey everybody, it's Jerry Rasco here, and we are watching a time-lapse video of a recent drawing I did of Boba Fett from the Star Wars universe. I did a live stream recently on my channel here, and anybody who was a subscriber could submit a character suggestion, and if that suggestion got chosen, that subscriber would receive the illustration for free, just as a thank you for being a subscriber. Boba Fett was one of the suggestions, but we didn't have time to get to it during the stream, so I've gone ahead and done it here and recorded it for all of us to review together. What you saw at first is me going through with a rough pencil. It's a very soft lead, and I use that for just the rough shapes, laying out that composition, make sure my proportions are accurate, making sure I like where the body is positioned, or whatever element I'm drawing is positioned on the page. It's just a lot easier to correct at that stage, erase, do whatever I need to do. Here I've got, so once I figured that out, which I've done with this Boba Fett pose, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. Now I'm going in with just a mechanical pencil. It's a .05 HB pencil, the kind of thing you buy, at the office supply store for school, or even at the not supermarket, but your Walmart, your Target, stuff like that. So right off the shelf, you can get a pencil just like this. And now I'm just shaping in some of the more specific details. So I'm going through the costume and finding where he has pouches and armor, where the seams are, where things go. And Boba Fett is a pretty complicated design in terms of little details, so just want to make sure I'm hitting all those. So again, still drawing pretty rough, not worrying about final shapes. This is going to be inked, and because I am going to go over this myself with the inking, I don't have to make every line final. I can do a lot of the drawing, if you will, aspect of it with the pens, with the ink, as we go. So all I need is the rough shapes to give me an idea of where I'm going, and making sure that everything, like I said, is in the right place, that the details are correct. I can change things like the swing of the cape if I wanted to, or the flames, or the angle of his arm, or any of those kinds of things. So again, just filling in the little details. Again, fairly rough, because I know I'm going to be the one inking it. If this was for somebody else and I was going to hand this off to them to ink, I would probably add more specifics, like all of the shading and the rendering, because in my head, I know where I want that to be already, but if I was going to have somebody else ink, I would want them to do it. So now I'm going in with the contour line. Contour lines are the outside shapes of any form that you draw, and I am using a micron pen. This is a 03, so it's not the biggest pen that they have in terms of the size of the line that it's going to draw, but it's certainly not as fine as the 01 or the .005. So this is a nice in-between to give you a thicker contour line, and then you can come back in and thicken extra lines up, which I will do, or add thinner lines as rendering to show shading, wrinkles, folds, etc. So we're going through, and again, this is all the sort of contour line. So there you go. So now I broke the pencil back out. So he has sort of a wrist launcher. And so I had just kind of made like a bubble. I wasn't really sure what was there, and took a minute to kind of draw it out a little with, again, a little more detail with pencil, then went back with my pen. Hitting all of the elements of the costume here. And again, this is a sketch, so we are looking at this. This is playing at, I believe, 500% speed. The original drawing took about 45 minutes. And we're going to be looking at it here in about 10 total. So not bad. Usually anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes is a good length for what I would call a commission, or like a convention sketch type of thing. And this is a little more detailed. It is full figure. So a little more detailed than your average like convention sketch would be. But, I appreciate the folks waiting on this who couldn't see me draw it live on camera. So I'm going to give a little extra there. So again, still everything here is with the 03 pen. So the thing is, you could stop. Like once I've drawn all the outlines in the 03 with that line weight, you could stop. And the image is going to look very much like a coloring book. All the lines are flat and what we call dead, meaning the line itself, there's no thicker part or thinner part. There's no heavier line weight to thinner. That's where we're going to go back in with more different kinds of pens. I'll use thicker pens for the outline. I'll use some brush tip pens for filling in the larger shadow black areas, and then some thinner ones for additional rendering. So now what I'm doing is I'm going in and erasing all my pencil. I'm using a kneaded artist eraser for that. I find that works best. It doesn't pull the ink up off the Bristol board, but it still pulls all that soft lead that I've been using off the page. And that's important because as I fill in solid black areas, the graphite of the lead of the pencil will sometimes prevent you from your black from sticking very well, and it'll smudge or smear. So what I'm doing now is going through and filling in more details, all the little nicks, dings, scratches, dents on Boba Fett's armor. And now I'm going in here and with a brush, this is one of the brush tip pens I mentioned, and filling in the solid black. So we've got his visor and then shadows underneath, things like a shadow under the helmet. We'll see on the underside of the hand and arms, stuff like that. So this is to fill in thicker, larger, shadowed areas, and then can thin that out later. I like these brush tip pens. This particular pen is a Tombow pen, and you can pick this up at pretty much any hobby or art supply store. You can, I believe, order them from Amazon. They come in kind of two flavors, if you will. There is a soft tip and a harder tip. This is the soft tip, which I tend to use again for the larger black areas. It covers a little better because the tip is flexible, so you can get a wider brush area with it. The other one, the harder tip, is something I'll also be using here in the video pretty soon to start doing some feathering and rendering on those black shapes. So again, still filling in my darker shadows. And now I'm deepening the contour line. So this is a different kind of brush pen. This is a Japanese brush pen that I have, and I like to use this to bolden. Is that the right word? Bolden? To make my contour lines more bold. In theory, what I would also be doing here, I didn't on this particular piece because it's just sort of popping, but if I was doing something where there's a very real light source, so we'll assume that the sun is out and the light's above, I would add thicker contour lines on the bottom of the shapes as opposed to just all over. But here, I just want the figure to pop off the white page. So we go ahead and do that. Now, this is the more firm tip or hard tip Tombow pen. And again, like I said, I'm going in and just sort of feathering out the shadows. That gives them more of a gradient from dark to light instead of just a solid black shape. Missed a spot there with the contour lines. Gone back and fixed that. Adding some details to separate the elements of the armor from the background. Again, adding some more dents, scratches, etc. Some more feathering on the folds of the cloth. And that is just about it. So pretty quick, it's going to wrap up here. I'm going to add my signature, and that will be the end of Boba Fett. So thank you for joining, and I really do appreciate everybody who has subscribed to my YouTube channel. We will do more giveaways like this in the future, so if you are a subscriber, keep an eye out for that, and you could win free art as well.